Hi, my name is Brenai Alexandria with Tea Alchemy. I am here with Extriara Gates, mother, psychotherapist, CEO of Lavender Grove Psychotherapy. And we're here to talk about all things mindfulness, all things spirituality, and all things science. So, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. This is an absolute honor and pleasure for me.
No problem. So, oh my gosh, it's so many things that I want to talk about because it's so many because I just turned 30 and I know
Ooh.
my age group. I know when especially back when we met at Europe, I
Yes,
think I was just getting into my 20s. And so
yes,
it was just a different time.
very much.
Now that I'm in my 30s, things
Yeah,
are different.
it's
Things
that
are different.
your brain has fully developed now. So there is a different way in terms of processing and feelings that you might be very much aware of now. Things that you felt like you cope with differently or maybe even ignored back then. You feel
Mhm.
it now. It's very different when you turn 30.
So when you say, okay, because I've heard that before that our brain develops, I think it's after 25 or something like
Yes,
that.
yes.
Is it the future?
Yeah, so initially we have the left and right side of our brain, but
Uh-huh.
our prefrontal cortex develops between 25 and 30. And so
Ah,
our prefrontal cortex is responsible for the emotional regulation, right? Or regulating the left and right side of our brain, which is logic and emotion. And then,
mhm.
people are, I guess you could say spiritually or just balanced. You ever met somebody, you're like, wow, they just handled that so well. But
Yeah.
that really doesn't happen for a lot of us in terms of perspective until we're about 30 or older. And it's because our brain is not fully developed. So I
Mhm.
always tell people, you get up until 30 to completely mess up, and people give you a lot of grace because there really is, closer we go, they don't know no better. But
Yeah.
biologically, the science says they really don't because they're not
Yeah.
functioning with a full brain. So, yes.
That makes sense. So as far as the way people handle things, how can you tell the difference? I've been doing a lot of healing work lately
Okay.
and processing a lot of things and trying to
Mhm.
figure out why I react to certain things, which is why I'm doing a lot of these interviews because I
Yeah.
really want to, I want to spread the information. I want to get as many questions as I have out,
Mhm.
to help other people. But one thing that I'm kind of stuck on is healing versus avoidance.
Ooh.
It's like, how do you know if you heal? Because I wrote a book back in 2018, and
Okay.
the whole book was about healing and my healing journey. In 2018, I was at like 23.
Wow. That's a huge undertaking at 23.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if your perspective about what you thought you'd healed from at 23 is different now at 30.
It's definitely different. It's definitely different. That's why I asked because at 23, I felt like I was completely
Yes.
healed. I felt like I processed through a lot of things. But then fast forward to 24, 25, I got
Mhm.
into my first real relationship and
Mhm.
I was a monster.
Wow.
Like a lot of anger came out, a lot of abuse. I was like, I was a monster. And I thought that I was healed. And so my thing is, okay, was I healing back then or was I
Mhm.
avoiding back then? Or is the relationship just a mirror to, my healing?
So you just said a whole lot, and I'm gonna try to touch on all of those things. So first of all, kudos to you for the accountability, right? Because I think
Mhm.
that's the area where it has the stereotype is men and women are not always accountable. So for you to have the foresight to know, like it was me,
Mm.
something in me, I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That is a sign of healing for sure, right? But when you
Okay.
think about the difference between healing and avoidance, I will give the best example I have. It's the difference between telling someone you no longer wish to have contact with them as opposed to just blocking them.
Mm.
For me, blocking is a sign of avoidance because you are now leaving it up to the other person to make a determination about what you want instead of being very clear about it.
Mm.
Conversation and deciding to move forward does something different, right? In our healing space, there is no need to revisit and recycle the past. I think what happens to a lot of people who are unhealed and avoid, it creates a lot of depression and anxiety when you think about it, right?
Uh-huh.
Because you are reliving something mentally that physically you have moved on from. So think about when you were 23 and you said you healed and something happened in your relationship and you remember feeling triggered by it and you responded, right?
Mhm.
That's not a healed person. A healed person is aware that I'm triggered and I can communicate and articulate to you that I'm triggered. I need a moment. Let me take a break and reevaluate how I respond. A person who has been avoiding a thing has said, well, I just won't deal with those people anymore. I'm cutting them off. I'm done with it. And then when you are triggered, you respond poorly. There's a
Okay.
difference in response of a healed person as opposed to someone who has been
Right.
avoiding things.
But
Um,
is it just because, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh, go ahead. What's your question?
So is it just because you're more aware of what your triggers are, is that considered healed? Because in my mind, when I think of healed, it's
Mhm.
like you're not triggered anymore.
You wouldn't be human if you weren't triggered by anything, especially if you've experienced trauma, right? So I think
Yeah.
the thing that people think on this side of it, even as a therapist, right? I always tell
Mhm.
people it's okay to have a feeling. It's how you respond that changes things.
Mhm.
It's okay to have a disturbing thought. It's your response that is the difference between whether or not this is working or not working, right? You get to be triggered because triggers psychologically change the way we feel and
Mhm.
behave, right? So if I'm
Mhm.
aware that something triggers me, I either make sure that I respond to it appropriately or do my best not to be triggered. Meaning, if that relationship or someone's behavior triggers me, then I can end that relationship.
Mhm.
Avoidant people go, oh, you triggering me, but I'm gonna keep on interacting with you.
Ah.
So this is how we create toxic relationships.
Yeah. Okay. I hate to put myself out there like that, but
Here, go for it.
let's talk about
Mm-hmm.
women abusers, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what I was. Now, granted, my situation, it was kind of both, it was, what is
Mm-hmm.
it called? Mutually combative.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, it was a lot of things that I noticed about myself in that relationship where it
Mm-hmm.
was like, it was almost okay. So a situation would be a 5, and I'll take it to like an 8 or a
Yes.
9,
Yes.
just reacting based off of this. But it's just like I just kept going and going and going like a freight train. It was almost like a
Mm.
just I don't know, like just liking to create the just
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain
Some
it.
people operate in chaos if that's what you're used to.
You know what? My therapist, she did say, like, because I had a therapist when I was around 21 or whatever. I had a therapist for a long time because my company was paying for it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I think you're addicted to chaos.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really, really interesting because it
Mm-hmm.
did, in those moments looking back, it did seem like I wanted to continue. Like I'm following behind him, like, doing all
Yeah.
this extra stuff behind him. And it's just like, why don't you just stop the action that's escalating? And it's just like, what is that?
That would require a level of emotional intelligence that most of us
Mm,
don't develop or learn because
mm,
our parents, right, are our first teachers in terms of how we manage conflict, how we
mm,
behave, how we show up, how we communicate. We learn that from our parents. If that is not a great example, one of two things is happening. You become an exception. You just decide I don't want to be like my parents. And sometimes there can be a downside to that. I know that personally because you just shut everything out and you go, okay, I'll just avoid it. So
mm,
you're the person that's passive, maybe passive aggressive, but you say, I don't like conflict. There's a problem
mm,
with it, right?
mm.
The other option is you replicate what you see and you don't even realize you're doing it.
Ah,
Some of it, even think about, and I hear this from a lot of women, when they may say they're angry, and I always tell people anger is a secondary emotion. Most of the time when a woman pursues a guy after he's tried to walk away, you're scared of being left.
ah.
And so your fight or flight kicks on. And when we're in fight or flight, our brain is not operating in its logical space. It's
Mm.
responding to danger. So if I think you're going to leave me and I'm in fight or flight, I'm going to fight you.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Because I think that's what works, right?
Huh.
In arguments, they freeze, meaning they just don't do anything. They go hide. Fawning is a response to a lot of people pleasing.
Mhm.
Some people run, which might have been your partner's response. If things are going bad, I'll just leave. And some
Yeah.
people fight. You were a fighter.
Ah,
But the
damn.
underlying concern is, am I scared of being abandoned? And if so, why can't I just say that? Why I gotta fight?
Yeah, because I don't know if it was more of a control thing. I guess control is fear too, right? Yeah, that
And fear.
is fear too, right?
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
It had to be fear. It had to be some sort of fear anyway.
Yeah. If
Because
it's about you walking away from me, abandoning me, then yeah, I'm gonna fight you.
mm, damn, that's interesting. So, what are some ways
Hmm.
that we can kind of recognize those
Hmm.
patterns? Like, because I feel like I never I never was taught how to manage my emotions. I
Absolutely.
never was taught how to manage disappointment, and anger is the easiest one to show, right?
That's what we're taught as children, right? You're a mom, but think about it. When we see kids in the store having temper tantrums and throwing things, the parent immediately responds to that because you don't want to be embarrassed. What do you
Right.
want? Get up, come on. If they cry, you go, it's okay, come on, you all right. So even as children, our parents don't do this on purpose. They say to us, if you're angry, somebody will respond. But if you cry, people gonna tell you to be quiet. So even for us culturally, right? And this is not a thing just for Black boys. I think it happens to Black women. It's this idea that you either be angry or you don't be anything.
Because for some reason they don't count anger as an emotion. They say women are so emotional, but men are, y'all be angry. So it's like, that's an emotion.
It's a secondary emotion. It's really a way of being in response to an emotion that you're uncomfortable with. Because really, when you ask people if they're angry, at the heart of it is something else. I'm frustrated. I feel helpless. I'm disappointed. I'm disturbed. Anger is just what we see. So to answer your question about how to identify those things, that's a part of the healing journey, right? Being aware that, in fact, I'm not an angry person. I don't like fighting. I just get scared when people leave me. But you got to be able to do the work to identify that that's what it is. So that when you're dating, you can tell people that, like, hey, if you were having an argument and you walk away from me, it makes me feel scared, and I naturally do this thing. So if you need to take a break, please tell me so that I know.
Yeah. Okay. And it's even with that, it comes vulnerability, you know, and it's like, it's so scary to be vulnerable with people, especially these days, because people like to take advantage of your vulnerabilities, the things that you've been through. So, I mean, I guess that's the whole relationship thing, but
those are the risks that we take, right?
Yeah.
And I think too, culturally, we see vulnerability as being weakness, and those two things are not the same. And so what we do is we hold back, and then the thing that we feel comfortable displaying in terms of emotion is always anger, which is why for a lot of us, culturally, our relationships are so volatile, because it's all we taught to express to people is anger. I'm yelling at you because I'm mad, but I love you. Well, how does that work?
Yeah. So do you think, because I've been doing a lot of thinking about dating too, and it's like, okay, we have Black men in the culture that are healed and are working on, you know, their healing. But I feel like there's the majority of our community is women that are healing, that are doing a lot of, you know, going to these therapy sessions and healing retreats and things like that.
Yeah.
So do you think that women should date out? Because I feel like Black women date historically Black men. Do you think women should start dating outside of their race in order to get the treatment that they feel like that they deserve based on, you know?
That's a good question. I'm not going to always tell you that dating outside of your race yields a different outcome, because people are people.
Yeah.
I think some of our concerns about Black men are because we only date Black men. Right? But if you take maybe a Black woman who's dated outside of her race on a number of occasions, and she goes, well, men are men everywhere. It's no different, and not even just Black men, but if we think about across the diaspora, right? Sometimes I read threads, women who are of Nigerian descent have the same concerns about Nigerian men as we have about Black American men, but we might date oh, he treated me well. I think there is something systemically wrong with the way that we are taught to value each other. That is the concern. I'm not going to tell you that dating outside of your race will change that. Perhaps the person you're dating may have more tolerance because they're not experiencing the same issues that you are. But what we have to account for is not just our own personal well-being, it's all the stuff happening outside of us that we bring into our relationships.
Yeah.
Right? The other side is that also becomes a place for understanding. Right? So think about for you being a Black woman in a tech space or whatever space, you're one of few. Don't nobody else understand that but another Black man.
Right, right.
So there is some familiarity there that I think works, but part of the bigger issue is not even that Black men are not going to therapy. They are. But what happens is when we heal, we become distant. We just go, I'm healed and I ain't letting nobody disturb my peace. So think about it. If all the healed Black folks was to stop staying in the house. Talking to myself now, right? But you have moments where you just like, I'm just not letting nobody disturb my peace. And there's a Black man sitting at home right now going, yeah, I ain't got to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because can you heal outside of a relationship? Like I said, from what I said,
a relationship.
But I felt like I was healed when I wasn't in a relationship. And the only way that I was able to see all my stuff and the only way things were coming up was when I was in a relationship.
For
so
sure.
I don't feel like
that's tough. I mean, there's risk to that, right? You might heal, but you're gonna hurt somebody else.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? My thing is heal and then start dating people. But when you're in your 20s, you don't know you're not okay because your brain not developed. You don't know no better, right? But to the point where we know better, it is important for you to take time and go, you know what, I got some stuff I need to work on, because whoever you are in your single season is who you're gonna be in a relationship. And if you don't like you single, ain't nobody gonna want to be, he ain't gonna like you in a relationship either.
Yeah.
But if you still got little nuances and little nice, nasty stuff you do now.
Yeah. But it's hard to see that stuff when you at the house by yourself with no kids.
That's why we have friends around to tell us, like, hey girl, you was a little
That's
rough
true.
friend.
Yeah.
A guy friend is like, girl, we gotta have people that hold us accountable. Single or not. We gotta
that's a whole nother conversation, because even that, it's like I feel like women always pray for a good man, but it's so important to have good friends around you. You know, it's so important. And I feel like at this stage, I'd rather form a really good girl group than be in like a serious relationship. Because honestly,
you need community regardless.
Yeah.
Of my friends, I would say one of them in particular, I have been friends with her since we were in middle school. Right? Seen each other a lot of stuff. We've had other friends that have brought friends into the group. Quite a few of them are married, right? But this is why we have community. Your community fills you. I always tell people, when you pick friends, you need to pick friends based on your areas that you feel like you're deficient. Because we should be like a good team. There should be a point guard, a guard. You know, like everybody should have a role. You should have a friend that prays for you, your friend who's good with money, your friend who's encouraging, your funny friend is going to encourage you to do something that you would never do. Like, everybody needs to play a position. And so if your idea is to be married, you need to have married friends around you so you can see what this could look like. So even though I'm not married, I can look at my married friends and go, wow, okay, that's what a man. That's what that's good. Yeah. Like, right? But you got to have people around you who model who you want to be. You can't be the smartest person in your friend group. If so, you need some better friends.
Yeah, because that's been my issue. Right now, I'm creating friendships now. It's like, I didn't know, nobody told us when we turned 30, all our little high school friends started dropping off and everything. And I didn't create any other friendships. Like, my friendships were my stable friendships in my 20s.
For sure.
Now they slowly fell off. And now I'm kind of like, okay. Because it's like when you start elevating and going to new levels, people drop off. And it's like, well, how do you make new friends in this new level? How do you trust people in this new level? Because it's like, you trust the people that you grew up with because y'all grew up together.
Yeah.
But now,
you physically grew up, that doesn't mean you mentally and emotionally grew up.
Yeah. And that's what it felt like. It felt like us growing apart. But then it's like, damn, she was making friends the whole time with other people. I wasn't making friends. So now it's like, I have to figure out who my tribe is. And I'm at a place where I'm like, I want God to show me who my tribe is. I want the people to be attracted to me. I want my people to be attracted to me. But then it's like, you got to position yourself as you would in a relationship. Like, if you're trying to get into a relationship with a man, you still have to position yourself, get to know somebody. It's like you're almost dating this potential friend. So it's like,
yeah, that's a tough one. And I can't say that I've had to navigate that. I have a few friends that I met in adulthood, but most of my friends are childhood friends.
Yeah.
There have been periods where we've gone without seeing each other for years and we just reconnected and was like, hey, come on back. You know, that will happen.
Yeah.
I would say you're going to meet your friends in places where your interests lie, right? So if your thing is you need people you can pray with, are you a part of the small groups at your place of worship? That's where you like-minded people, right? If you enjoy yoga or Pilates, how often do you go to a little small studio and engage with women who are doing that thing? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just think when we are older and we're trying to make friends, it requires more intention.
Yeah.
So you gotta go into spaces knowing this is the kind of friend that I'm looking for. This is what I require. And I will never forget, one of my newer friends, we met at work. I remember when we started becoming friends, she said to me, and she had a whole conversation with me, we've been hanging out for a minute and I really like you and I would love for us to be friends, but here's what I expect as a friend. And I thought that was the wildest thing ever.
What?
Is she interviewing me? Right? But what I respect is that she was very clear about what she needed in her friendship. And I had the option to say, yes or no, girl, I could do that for you, or I can't. That's how we got to navigate. Yeah, but that's the same way we're supposed to navigate relationships, right? Do we talk to people about their expectations, or we just ask them, what's your goals for 5 years? Do you have kids? How much money do you make? Do we ask people what they expect from us?
Right. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Huh.
it threw me off, but as a grown woman now, I'm like, you know what, I like it.
Yeah.
You gave me the option to decide if I could be the kind of friend you're looking for.
Wow, I'm gonna have to use that. Expectations and friendships.
But at this
Conversation.
point, Bree needs to be intentional. There should be a
Yeah.
plan for it. You should not just be, when people be like, it just happened. Well, how that, what do you mean? Everything should be intentional.
And she had the "what are we" conversation.
And I was like, you know what? I can only respect that. It threw me off, but I was like, now that's I respect that. Thank you so much for letting
Yeah.
me know what I was walking into.
So after she had you had your expectations of what a friendship should be before that conversation?
Absolutely not, because you got to think about the people that I have had as my main friends. I've known since I was a kid. It was
Yeah.
like a free flowing thing, right? But as things have happened, we've had to go back and say, well, girl, I needed you to do it. Oh, I didn't know. I'm sorry. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Thinking about the way she presented it, maybe in our 20s we should have been sitting down going, okay, we grown now. What you need from me as a friend? So sometimes even when we have childhood friends, we take for granted that their needs and what they require of us changes over time because we go, oh, they'll tell me, maybe they won't.
Mm. Yeah.
And so when you meet newer people now, that's a conversation to have. What do you expect in your friendships? What do you expect in relationships when you're dating people? This ain't just about you look nice, you
Mm.
dress the same, we like the little hookah lounge. That's cute.
Yeah.
But the core of it is if we can't do any of that together, are we still gonna be friends? Are we still gonna
Yeah.
be friends?
Damn, that's really good. So what were some of her expectations? Is it stuff like being honest and
She is a person that's big on communication. So her thing was mainly communication, consistency, and those are things I value now. As
Mhm.
those were the two things that stood out for me.
Wow. That's really interesting because that was one of the issues in my last friendship because I literally had only had one friend for years because the other ones had dropped off. And
Okay.
once you got one good friend, you good. That's what I thought anyway. And like I said, I was on my healing journey and I started telling her, because sometimes we'll get into we'll have these issues with each other and
Mm-hmm.
then we'll just kind of sweep it under the rug and not talk for a month or two.
Yeah.
And then so I told her one day, I said, I don't like that. We're gonna have to start having after we made up. We're gonna have to start having these conversations about, what's bothering us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember around my 29th birthday, she didn't show up for me the way I needed her to. Right. Like I had never thrown a birthday party for myself and I was already nervous about that, but I had to do everything by myself. Like throw of course, do the invitation. See, she wasn't sending invitations out to nobody for me. She said she had another event before my event. So she came at like 10. But with your friend, you want to be able to drink and have a good time before the party, help me get dressed. Does this look right? She wasn't trying to do any of that. And so, after the birthday party, which didn't turn out as great as I would want it to, because I felt like I was flustered. I felt like I was, I wasn't able to like enjoy myself. I told her, I said, I really don't like the way you showed up. I feel like you didn't show up for me because I was really struggling that year financially. And her birthday was a couple weeks before my birthday, but I really showed up for her because I felt like this is our last birthday in our 20s. I'm going to she had like 3 events. I was buying outfits and dinners and all types of stuff, right? And I was like, I ain't had no money. So I was like, okay, this is my friend. It's our last birthday in our 20s. I'm going to do it. And so I guess maybe I set myself up a little bit in that because it's like I put myself so much out thinking that it would be reciprocated. And
no conversation about expectations. You had it after you were upset. In retrospect, it's the proactive conversation. What did you all talk about before? Did you ask her, right? If that was your, what you needed from her, did you ask her if she had the capacity to do it?
Yeah.
You just assumed that she would because she was your friend. She didn't know you needed that from her until she had already planned a million other things. The other thing, and I know this about you, right? We've been saying business. You have always been a person, in my opinion, that comes across as being independent and having it together. The downside of that is people don't need them. So if you've been that friend who always had it together, she didn't know that Ashley Briggs is something I need to do.
Damn, that's a good one. Yeah, that's yeah. I can see that. Don't be trying to therapize me.
And I'm saying this right from a real place. This ain't even my therapy capacity, but as the independent superwoman friend, I'm just telling you, and this is stuff I've heard. And you didn't tell me. I didn't know. And you have to sit with that, right? This is a part of healing, understanding that I can be upset with them, but what is my accountability in terms of the way I navigated that situation?
Yeah.
I can tell her beforehand, I just had a lot of expectations. You was expecting to be disappointed because she had no idea you needed her to do any of those things.
And see, and that's why I say I feel like because I did everything for her, it seemed like it would make sense. But that's not where the friendship broke off at. We had a conversation. She said, okay, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. And it was so weird because she was like, okay, I'll take you out to dinner. We're going to make up for it, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Again, I'm not working.
Ooh, I heard 20 minutes.
She take me out to dinner, and we have a good time. I'm like, oh yeah, because it's like it's this place. They have this I forgot what it's called, Taranga City or something in Buckhead, and they they have those like $5 wings or something, some type of day or $2 wings or something. Okay. So I'm having a good time. I'm eating and everything, and we're having a good time. And the bill come, and they give us separate bills, and she paid for hers, and I'm kind of like,
oh, sweet God.
At that moment, I didn't know if I was supposed to, I thought you said you were going to pay for mine, or did I get my wires crossed, or just, it was, now, she said, I'm going to take you out for your birthday.
Did that mean she was driving, or what did that mean?
Because we met there.
Okay. So I would just say rule of thumb. Going forward, when anybody does that, hey, thank you so much. Are you paying, or should I be prepared to pay? And I'm not saying it wasn't wrong, because the way I heard it is what you heard, right? But because I'm a person now who asks for clarity before I do anything, I would just say put that one in your pocket for later. Like, let me ask, is this what they mean? That's what I heard. But I need clarity. Again, and this is something we all learn the hard way, particularly if you're a giver. Nobody's ever going to be able to outgive you or meet your expectations for giving, so don't expect it.
Okay.
Because if that's your heart, you're always going to outgive and do more. But don't be in a place of comparison. Well, I did all this stuff for you, and this is all I got. That was all they had the capacity to do.
Yeah, because it then feels like you're only doing it. It seemed like you're only doing it to get something back. But
that might be a sign for you to scale back some too. Do I give based on the reciprocity of it? And sometimes reciprocity is not in material goods, but is this the friend, even if they don't have money? If I got sick today, they coming over here and cook, clean up, and sit with my boys. They don't have money, but they the friend that show up.
Yeah.
Give you whatever you ask for because you're there with your heart. Some friends not gonna be able to match you in that way, right? You may have more tangible income that you can. Some friends won't be able to match that, but this is the friend they was somewhere and they saw a little pair of socks. They're like, Bree would love these. Let me get these for my girl, and they dropped them off to you.
That's something. Okay. That's really something to think about.
You want to be thinking about, like, what are my expectations and where can I maybe level set some of my expectations based on the people I'm around. So even when you asked about can we heal and be dating people who are unhealed, that's based on your expectations. Parts of them that you can tolerate, and then there are some things that you're like, this is absolute no for me.
Yeah.
You get decided.
This is some uncharted territory, man.
Welcome to Adults, and this is your first TED Talk of the year. All the stuff your parents have never told you.
Yeah, right? Oh my God. Oh, speaking of dating again, what do you think is going on in the manosphere?
Ooh, that's a good question. Also, oh my gosh. If I'm speaking as a therapist, it's very much what I said. I think a lot of, let me say it this way. I think that we have gotten so caught up on the idea of things that we don't deal with the reality.
Okay.
Good ideas about people. And I see this, and I hate that I watch this, but I have moments, right? I watch maybe some of Pop the Balloon snippets, or when they're interviewing on the street on, well, what kind of money does a man need to make? I don't know what world we have gone to where now to be considered a man, you need to make 6 figures. I don't know how we got there. Is it important? But that shouldn't be the starting point, right? But what you notice on most of those shows, there is no conversation about people's character. That's the first problem we have.
Yeah.
Date for character. If you think about it, and I'm not by any means saying that our grandparents were perfect in terms of the way they dated, but if you think about how older men dated and married, they married women that they knew would be good mothers to their children and to cook.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Do you know anybody granddaddy's wife can't cook?
No.
You know what I mean? And that's not to say that it was all that they did. Let me say this. I ain't never seen my grandparents together. God rest their souls. My grandmother got married when she was 16. Before she died, she and I would just talk. It was funny. I said, Grandma, would you have gotten married to granddaddy? And she said, hell no. She said it right out of her mouth, right? As I've learned more about the complexity of their marriage, I get it, right? It was a different time. But what I can tell you is that my granddaddy, when he married her, if he didn't know she would be a good mother. That when he was out in the street, somebody was going to be at home with his kids, right? Yeah. Vice versa for women. I mean, I think we look at people's wallets and they looks and we go, okay, that's my dude. You don't know nothing about that man's character.
Yeah.
You say you love God. He say he burned incense and pray to God. Like, how are we going to make that work?
Yeah.
So part of the issue is, I think for a lot of people of a certain age, there's no attention to character. We do not date based on our values. And if you know what your values are, you need to be dating nobody. Because what that suggests to me is that people can get you to do whatever they need you to do or do whatever they want from you. Because you have any ground to stand on. Our values should dictate how we show up in the world and who we choose.
Yeah.
If I say I value peace, right? I can't date somebody whose life is chaotic. I ain't dating a drug dealer. That's too much chaos for me.
Oh my gosh. Right.
If I say that I value stability, I cannot date somebody who got 8 hustles and ain't none of them yielding him enough to buy a car or have good credit to pay his bills on time. Darn, if you can take care of me, can you take care of yourself? Exactly. So if I date outside of my values, that's on me. But I think that's the bigger thing. Our grandparents married and are dated, regardless of if those relationships were good, they had a value system that they operated by. If you didn't align my values, you couldn't do the basic normal functions of adulthood. What do we do? You was gonna be the side lady. That's why granddaddy has 5 families. That's exactly what she was, the side woman.
Yeah.
You didn't do what grandma did.
Man, ooh, even that. Oh, I got so much.
Grandma had a side dude. He was somebody she had fun with, but she knew that man at the house paid the bills. Or if that was the case, you get what I'm saying?
Is that necessarily a bad thing?
What are you asking me?
Like, is it necessarily okay? Because I've been thinking a lot about marriage, and I don't know if the whole thing is for me, especially with the expectations that some of the things that I've been hearing online. Because I'm honestly not like the cooking and cleaning type. I can cook, I can meal prep and everything, but I feel like I got ADD, so I'm a little bit messy. The things that they're looking for, I'm like, I don't know if I'm a traditional one. I feel like
it's okay to say that to people, right? This is why we have to have conversations about our expectations, because if I value traditional, if I'm a guy and I want a traditional woman, I'm going to say that. And if you say to me, well, that's not who I am, we shouldn't be dating because we already know this ain't gonna work. What we do is we date people and think we can change them.
Yeah.
We have a problem. We 15 years in and realize you ain't changing. Well, I told you I wasn't gonna change.
Yeah, I would need somebody to like.
I went that. The thing about marriage is like marriage is what people make it. If traditional roles don't work for your marriage, then don't do them. It's just you have to have a partner who's okay with it.
Right.
So and I've seen in some households, and I would even say for my uncles are all great cooks. They married women who couldn't cook. For them because they couldn't navigate that piece, right? So if that's not your thing, when you dating, you tell a guy, listen, I'm not a cook. If he goes, oh, it's okay, Brie, I got it. Don't worry about it. You negotiate. You don't have to. Marriage is not like a workbook, and you got to follow all the steps.
Yeah, you
got to do what works for your household. So even when people talk about finances and they go, well, you need to pay all of the bills, and that might work for some people's household, but they don't work for everybody else.
So do you think marriage is beneficial for women?
If you marry the right person.
I guess that's kind of where I am as far as finding the right person or figuring out who the right person is. Because like I said, as it stands right now, I don't know. I kind of like you know, my kids going to their dad's house on the weekends and I kind of got the time to
There's some
myself.
married people who live apart.
And I think that would be me, you know?
I agree with you. I like this space. Yeah. You can go to space and we visit each other on Wednesdays and but you create the life you want to have. We don't have to follow what our grandparents did because that didn't work for them either.
Yeah.
They didn't have options. You know, when we romanticize this idea of what our grandparents did, respectfully, if you have a grandparent that was born between 1935 and 1940, they couldn't even a woman couldn't open a checking account by herself or buy property. So she didn't have a choice but to stay, right? So we cannot compare all the time what our grandparents did to what's available to us now. The other thing is that, and a guy said this to me, Black women are growing and evolving and moving into positions. Some men are going to have to be okay with the fact that what they saw their fathers do will not be an option for them now. Your wife make more money, which means you may have to step up more in the household. If y'all okay with that, do that.
Yeah.
Try to explain that to nobody. So it's finding people that are flexible, you know what I mean, about the expectation. If you find somebody that's like, that's fine with me. You make more money, that's okay. Here's what I'm good at. I'm better at budgeting money. I make less than you, but I can manage money better and I save better. That's your person. They okay with you making more, but they might be the person that managed the money in the household, and that's okay. I'll cook, I can cook. Don't worry about it. As long as you help clean up.
Yeah.
And load the dishwasher. You know what I'm saying? It's finding people that are flexible.
Okay. I guess maybe.
Yeah. So don't go out there positioning yourself as a traditional woman if you don't want to do it.
Right.
I am traditional about certain things, but there's some things I'm more flexible about.
Yeah. Because back to what you're saying about he might have a side chick and she might have a side man. And that's all I was saying. Is there, because now I don't think that I would want to be in like a, what is it called? A poly relationship. But I do understand the benefits of it, you know, but I don't know if it's because the nucleus relationship is just so toxic that you need a break from it. But I can understand how that happens, you know?
Yeah. I think the way that we see it in American culture is very different from the way that it is practiced in other cultures. And I hear this a lot from Black Americans. They like, well, you know, in Africa, people don't have one wife. And I'm like, there are certain parts of Africa where that is true. Africa's a continent, it's not a country. So you got to tell me exactly what you're talking about, right? There are, and I can't pinpoint, but I will just say there are some communities religiously in Africa that polyamory is acceptable. The thing is, they're married to all of those women. There ain't no side chick. There's an order and a way that things are done in terms of caring for the well-being of the entire family. A lot of people now use polyamory as a means to have their sexual needs fulfilled and to be avoided of things happening in a relationship.
Right.
That's not what polyamory is supposed to be. There's a commitment there.
Yeah.
Are married. That is not my side girlfriend that you know about. No. But that's the way we present it here. And that's not in actuality what it is. I created some version of a thing that's not true.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because in my mind, I'm thinking
you can't be polyamorous and financially unstable. That ain't. Because those men are responsible for the well-being of all of those women and children.
I don't even understand how women do that. Like, how you get with a man who broke and he got another woman? Like,
he has nothing but time on his hands, right?
Exactly.
So it becomes a way out, right? Or she can deal with it. I don't have to. All y'all gonna have to deal with it. So yeah, so definitely limiting some of your watching of what I would say, or even just the doom scrolling that we do at night. And this is a term we use in therapy, radical acceptance, right? Accepting that there are things that I cannot change, but learning how to navigate in the world despite that. I get the concern for our children, but we got to do the same things that we've been doing for generations, just preparing them for whatever. Nothing about what we are experiencing now is any different than what our parents experienced, our grandparents, or their parents. And so we continue the same preparation we've been doing.
Okay.
But allowing yourself space to feel the feelings, right? Because you get to be worried, but wondering, like, what do I do with this that's helpful?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think the number one thing that I'm trying to instill in my children, well, first off, my oldest son, Kendrick, he's autistic, or he was diagnosed as autistic.
Okay.
And I feel like with autism, I don't know, this might be a little woo-woo, but I feel like they're on a different like frequency. I feel like he's sensitive to other things spiritually. And I feel like he's highly intuitive. Like he doesn't speak like he's he speaks and tell me what he needs and whatever. We communicate in that way, but we're not conversational. But with him, it's like I'm trying to figure out what angles to go with him based on that. But the number one thing I've been trying to do is making sure that they can trust themselves and their intuition, because I feel like AI is kind of like you don't know, and we've been warned about this for like us, like growing up in the church, growing up with my praying mom, we've been warned like we're not gonna know what's up, what's down. We've been warned for a long time. So now we're living in those times where we don't know what's real. And it's like, Lord,
like, I think, and again, most kids or young people on the spectrum don't all operate the same way. So, knowing your baby, knowing what you need to do for him, especially, I think we should teach our children in general to always trust themselves and what they feel. And if something is uncomfortable, teaching them how to respond to it. But that's just not for him. That's for your other son too, right? I think naturally we intuitive people, we just get so distracted with things that we ignore a lot of stuff. And so allowing them space, particularly as young Black boys, to do what they feel. If this don't feel right, don't do it. If something doesn't feel good to you and you in a space, it's okay to exit.
Okay. Yeah. Because even like, how do you feel about ChatGPT? Because I like ChatGPT to help me with like business stuff and help me organize.
Yeah, but I tell people, don't put your personal information on there. Like I have seen, and unfortunately as a therapist, this is the downside of concern I have about AI in this space, is that people are using that as a tool for therapy. And what I have to explain to them is, even though it's AI, somebody is prompting that. So now what you're saying to me is you're trusting someone that you don't know to tell you something that your therapist has already said. But I think sometimes we like the convenience of messaging without the messenger, right? So I don't have an issue with those things. I think we have to use them in a way that is mindful. Like I like to use it to bounce off ideas. Is what I'm thinking. You give me the language, right? But when people are putting dissertations and personal business and financial records and information, I don't think that that's a good idea. I don't.
So what do you think because I've heard of what is it called? ChatGPT psychosis, where
is that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay. I heard of it. Okay.
Yeah, it's a thing where ChatGPT is kind of agreeable and they'll kind of go along with you or whatever. Now, sometimes it will tell you, no, that's not a good idea. I feel like you should do this or whatever. But you can prompt it and make it kind of be in your belief system. So this thing is kind of like you're conversing with this thing all day. Oh, no, you're right about this, you're right about that. And it's taking people's mind, especially if it's already a sensitive mind, it's taking them to a different level of validation, which can be dangerous,
Ooh, and I had not heard that. Yeah, I would say so. I think that the tools that we use will be whatever they need to be in order to survive, right? It's just like dating somebody that's unhoused. They're going to be as kind to you as they need to. They ain't got nowhere to go, right? And this is no different. With AI, you're going to prompt it to say whatever you needed to say based on how you feel. And that is the problem, right? When we think about for therapists and other spaces like you giving it enough information to side with you, but are you telling the truth?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think anything done too much can be detrimental, because I think people stop using their common sense too.
Yeah, because I was having a conversation with another woman the other day, and I was telling her, just like how we have autocorrect, I forgot how to spell. Like a lot of words, I'd be like, damn, I should know how to spell this, but with autocorrect, I'm like, like writing,
worry about it.
You thinking a squiggly line gonna come up for handwriting, and it's like, damn, how do you spell? And it's like I can see how ChatGPT can make us turn our minds off. We don't think about things anymore.
Yeah, because tools like that are efficient in communities or in societies where people are already smart or emotionally mature. You know what I mean? But when you start using it with people who are down here and the technology is up there, now we just rely on the technology to do all the stuff that we should be doing. Hence why we're in this situation and other countries are not.
You know.
It can be dangerous. I'm just telling you, the people telling me they on Chat GPT and they come into sessions and they're like, well, chat, okay, well, go on then.
Oh, they
Let
bring it
me
up.
know.
They go
Oh,
to. They
for
bring it up.
sure. Yes,
Oh
ma'am.
wow. Oh
Yes,
my
ma'am.
God.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Ah.
Yeah, you gotta let people find out things the way they need to.
Oh, is it a candle right there?
Mind you,
I'm
he knows better. He's done this before. He came in the bathroom looking like powder a while back. He'll do some
Well,
meditation.
I could talk to you all day, but I see you got to get to your little baby.
Yes. And was there anything closing? Because I know we talked about, even when we were offline, just some questions you had about some of the different things around. I think you were talking about spiritual work and like sound baths and all those things. What questions did you have related to that?
Oh, well, I try to connect spirituality and neuroscience because a lot of the
Mm.
things that I
Mm-hmm.
practice, I can find them in the Bible and I can find them in
Mm-hmm.
neuroscience.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, what is
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess what is a lot of the science behind some of the things that we see in the Bible, like speak
Mm-hmm.
things into existence, let
Mm-hmm.
the poor say I'm rich, let the sick say
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
are some of the bridges you've seen between spirituality and the science behind that?
I'm gonna say this. And I'm not a biblical scholar. I love God, I
Mm,
believe in God, I read my Bible, right?
mm,
When we talk about spirituality, to be honest with you, Brie, a lot of what we believe culturally as spirituality is not rooted in science.
mm. Okay.
Okay. The best example I can give, you from Chicago, right?
Mm.
You got some family from the South, Mississippi, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mississippi.
Mississippi, right?
Mm,
When you think about if you had a grandma or a great grandma, when they talk about things like working roots, we're not talking about for
mm,
any bad intentions, but
mm,
I know for me growing up, when old people talked about working roots, it could be to heal people, it could be to cast out things. That's not rooted in science.
mm,
It's intuitive and intentional, right? So when we look at things like chakras, there is a science to that, but I
mm,
think that a lot of that is also spiritual in terms of our connections to things. When
mm,
we look at things like grounding, and people might say, well, just go place your feet in some mud or some dirt. There's
mm,
not science about that. That's something we can
mm.
feel and register. And so I think I don't want to say think. My feeling is that we need to be cautious about always looking for a scientific reason to believe if something is true or not.
Ah,
And
okay.
that's how I operate in this space, right? So as a therapist, when people go, well, what interventions do you use? I have interventions that are scientific based and research
Mm-hmm.
based for sure, but I always tell people I'm intuitive and I'm organic. I do what works for my client.
Mm-hmm.
And that may not always have a science,
Yeah.
right? And so we don't always need science to validate what we know to be true.
Mm-hmm.
We know some of the stuff that our grandparents did work because we see it. There's no
Mm-hmm.
science that explains it.
Yeah.
I know as a little kid, my grandma would send us to get yellow root from the curb market, is what we called it here.
Mm-hmm.
And you can chew it if you were sick or if you had a boil. Now, there is a name for that scientifically or medically, but we
Mm-hmm.
called it something, a certain thing growing up. And my grandma would say it's some trying to get out of your body. We know it scientifically be inflammation, right? They weren't wrong. There was no science about it. They just knew it would work. And so I think we don't always need the science to just
Mm-hmm.
in, right? So some of the work that I do is intuitive, right? When we look at sound frequencies, yes, there's science around there, but when we talk about things like meditation, that's intuitive. It's like
Ah,
when you're a little kid and you start panicking and somebody just go, please breathe, just breathe.
yeah.
We don't know that that is activating or deactivating your parasympathetic nervous system. We just know that it works.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm a fan of let's try something first and then we can follow the science behind it.
Mm.
But if we're looking for science to answer all of the things, we're going to be in
That's
trouble. Sometimes
interesting.
science been behind.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Damn, that's a good point because it makes me think about my son. He still does it now, and even my oldest son. But my
Mm-hmm.
youngest son, he would hum like he hums like if he wakes up in the middle of the night, he's humming.
Yes, yes.
And I think that's interesting that he knows
Mhm.
intuitively to soothe himself that way.
Yeah, that's
And
something he intentionally does and he understands works for him. If you
mm,
ask someone who's in that profession, they go, oh, he's stimming. But
mhm,
we know, if I'm looking at this as a therapist, humming is a sound frequency. helps us to de-stress.
Yeah.
It turns off our fight or flight. Nobody had to tell that baby that. He knew that. He understood.
Right.
But if we look at it from a cultural standpoint, ain't that what our grandparents was doing? You ever? And I remember as a little girl, my grandma, I didn't get this then, but it's so much stuff I get now about my grandma and her being, she wouldn't, when she was overwhelmed, she would sit in her chair and she would just hum with her eyes closed. I know now she was praying, but if I'm thinking about the humming in itself, that was her way of soothing herself. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we can't always look for science to justify something we know been working. We done seen people do it.
Wow.
So a lot of what we're doing now, I think we're going back and fetching a lot of things, I would say, in terms of utilizing the earth and using tinctures and, you know, things like sound therapy. Maybe our grandparents didn't have bowls, but they played drums. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I know for me, a lot of people played, what is the thing people played? A harmonica, or they, in the country, you gotta be real country, they played spoons. You know what I mean? Like I seen somebody do that when I was a kid. All those things are sound frequencies. So those are things we've been doing. Now people just got instruments for them.
Yeah, right. So I guess that's another way to kind of get back to, you kind of get out of what's going on in the world. It's just getting back to our roots.
Yes.
You know,
because that's how our
because
grandparents survived. You gotta think about a lot of our grandparents went through several wars at once. I'm a bit older than you. I done lived through at least two on top of a bunch of stuff. I remember being a kid and we were preparing for bombs. And they taught you how to shelter in place at school. Yeah, my mom did the same thing. So I think we do what we've been doing. We know how to survive, but we don't know how to do nothing else.
So maybe it just seems more scary now because we have social media. Yeah. Okay.
But you notice how old people be so unworried? Because they done seen this before.
Yeah.
And respectfully, I think I was reading, was it Second Timothy? This stuff is biblical. It's in the Bible.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we read, we know, we go, okay, this is what I'm expecting, but here's what they did. If you're, you know, a believer, if you have other faith, every piece of faith or doctrine of faith has something related to what we're seeing now. It's if I believe in it and have faith to follow it, but also creating or doing the same things that my ancestors did to get us through it, because we here because we survive those things. So even if you have access to an elder, and I tell people this all the time, ask the elders what they did. They don't live through worse things. Ask them what they did. How did they survive?
Because I guess we're all here for a reason. We were all born in this time period for a reason. So
absolutely, for such a time as this, right?
Yeah, yeah. But you spoke about roots. Let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah. All my southern about to come out. I'm just gonna tell you now. So I grew up with, so my grandmother's from Covington, Georgia. It's a really small town. I remember, and this is gonna be funny if my brother were here, I would love to have him on because he probably has more memory of this. I remember being a kid and my grandmother, when people were coming in the house that she didn't want there, she would tell us, go get that salt and shake it in front of the door. And what we were taught is it warded off evil spirits. Mind you, my grandmother, old Southern lady who's been in church her whole life. Okay. So when we talk about, is there space for, I would say Afrocentric traditions and Christianity, yes. People use salt in the Bible to cleanse things. So you gotta think about how we translate that over to real life, right?
Yeah.
So those things, trying to remember, my grandmother used to, this is funny, probably a little hood, but it's funny. She'd keep the little money spray in the house, right? You gotta be a certain kind of old to get this, but it used to, and you probably can Google it. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe we were doing that. But she would light candles when things were happening. My brother does this now religiously, a white candle, but they used to have this thing called money spray. They had a Native American person on it. It was purple, but you would spray it in your house to welcome in wealth, right? So when we think about how we use affirmations or speaking things into existence, that's in the Bible, right? So then there would be, I think what I've seen in terms of root work is about how we've brought biblical things and put them tangibly in the world, our interpretation of it, right? But not in the way that I think we demonize it now.
Yeah.
They're like, you got to go in the woods and somebody, you know, go and work roots on you. But I have heard my grandmother say things like, you work roots on somebody. I've never seen that. But I do believe that a lot of our elders, particularly if they're from the Deep South, had this idea that if you did harm, what we know is it's karma, right? Harm to somebody is going to come back to you. But for them, it was did something bad to somebody and they prayed enough or talked to the right people and it came back to get you. But that's in the Bible.
Yeah, because I always think about because I like to look at different religions and spiritualities, especially when it comes to like African spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And you see a lot of the painting, the face paints
Yes.
and the dancing and all of that stuff. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like it was so demonized as far as a European standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like with Christianity being such a new religion, it's like it's hard to
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I grew up Christian,
Yeah, and
but
Christianity is actually one of the oldest religions.
really,
Yeah.
because I know Ethiopia, they
Mm-hmm.
have an Orthodox Christianity, but
Yeah,
is it
and think
just the
about
version?
Ethiopia is one of the most civilized or the longest in terms of
They wasn't
civilization. They
colonized.
were one of the first, yeah. So if we're just looking at Ethiopia as an example historically, then that would mean Christianity has been around longer than we've given it credit for.
Mm. So
Mm-hmm.
what do you think? Where do you think we should go for like the real version of
Mm,
Christianity?
that is such a great question, and I'll be honest with you, Brie, I do not know. What I will tell you
Mm,
is this, and I do not advocate for people to practice a certain thing. I'm a Christian. You get
mm,
what I'm saying? But I understand why I'm a Christian. I think people have to find a doctrine that works for them. I think if you're looking to understand historically more about the Bible, I have what's called a study Bible. I think the guy who
uh-huh.
did it is Tony Evans, but it's this really big Bible, but it breaks down each of the chapters of the Bible, the historical context, what was
Mm.
happening. I think sometimes we read and we read and we get it, but we won't understand what was happening.
Yeah.
And so that creates this idea that Christianity is new. But when you're reading a study Bible, you're like, wait a minute. So this has been around this long.
Mm.
So I think also talking to religious history majors,
Mm.
and this guy has passed on, but I remember when I was at Clark Atlanta, there was a gentleman, Dr. Love, what's his name? Dr. Love? Was it Dr. Henry Love Porter? One of them. He was like a religious historian, and he taught a class that people were so fascinated by. But
Mm.
it was about religion and Christianity, especially in like the roots of it. And so I think some of those things you just gotta research. But I think
Mm.
what we do is we have this group think thing, and people go, "Oh, Islam was here first." That's possible, but have you looked it up to really know that for sure? I think
Yeah.
things have changed over time, and maybe the way we practice Christianity now, in terms of the sections or sectors of it, is different and new, but it's
Mm.
been around.
So I'm guessing it's
Mm-hmm.
the translation, or I guess anything can be used as bad. So
Absolutely.
I guess what people take things out of the Bible and use it out of context and
Absolutely.
everything.
Mm-hmm. Anything
Because
can be weaponized by the wrong person. And that's why I always tell people don't idolize preachers or ministers of the word. You need to read your Bible and understand things for yourself. One of the things that I truly love about my pastor is he will say when people tell you things, ask them to show it to you in the Bible.
yeah.
And if they can't tell you where it is, that means they've taken it and made something of it that it wasn't
Yeah.
true.
And a lot of things about the Bible, because I go to World Changers Church, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people don't like Creflo, but Creflo he really breaks down a lot of things
Yeah.
that he's a teacher, so he
Yeah.
really shows you how to rightly divide the Bible. Where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, they're living. This is the Old Testament. This is the New
Mm-hmm.
Testament. This is why
Mm-hmm.
this means this, and this is why this tying things
Yeah.
together. So it's like, I think when people read the Bible, they don't understand that things have a certain order that
Yes.
you have to
Yeah.
read, you know?
And that's why you get a study Bible, so you understand the order of things and why the New Testament and Old Testament are slightly different, and the
Yeah,
perspectives of the people reading. But I think anything can be weaponized by the wrong people. So when I hear
yeah,
people say they have church hurt, I don't negate that because I know it's a real
yeah,
thing. But being aware that if you believe something, that's what you believe, and nobody can deter you from that. But you might have to change your place of worship. I fortunately have been blessed enough not to have had those experiences in church.
yeah,
But the church I grew up in and the church I go to now are totally different things. I thought that the hooping and hollering and shouting was a part of the experience. I think that's great, but I need to leave church and feel like I learned something. And if I can't tell you what
yeah,
I learned, it was no point in me
yeah,
being here.
yeah, yeah. I feel the
I want to
same
write
way.
notes in church. Can we
Yeah,
write some notes? I appreciate Sister Janice is praying for us. Wonderful. The hollering and shouting, the great choir, part of the experience,
yeah,
right? But I want to sit there and go, okay, so this is what I need to reread, or this is what I learned today, and I need to keep with me. If that's not happening, you're in the wrong place. And I think a
yeah.
lot of us are in the wrong place out of tradition, but
Mm,
not in spaces where we can grow.
mm. Yeah, because I remember as a child, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to dive too deep into the feeling of church because I didn't
Yeah,
want to catch the
I ain't
Holy
running down the
Ghost.
aisle. Yeah, yeah, receipt. I'm not running down this aisle. Not gonna happen. ain't, respectfully, that's not everybody in that church.
Yeah. Oh.
And that's not, let me say this, and this again is in the Bible. I want to say it's in Peter. Mm-hmm. Everybody not supposed to speak in tongues.
Really?
No.
Huh.
If you read Peter, Peter says that is an act of people who have been assigned a particular task. So even people like, I ain't never spoken in tongues, because that's not what you're supposed to be doing. That is not your assignment.
Even with tongues, I can't tell if I'm actually speaking in tongues or if I'm just.
And that's something that will happen organically. It ain't like, I have seen people pretend to do that. I'm like, yo, that is not, God didn't tell you to do that, right? But it becomes a part of performance. And I think that, when people were watching T.I. talk about that, he was not wrong. Some people show up to church and it's a performative act. But people who are really in the word, the people can sit in that pew the whole time and they writing notes and they're paying attention. If you ask them something, got it. Them folk who be, and I'm not saying this about all of them, because some people really do have those experiences, who you can tell they do the same thing every Sunday.
It's a lot of stuff in church that is performative,
Yeah, we don't need that. Like, if that's not your space, don't do it. God ain't called you to do that.
Even the pastor, I remember I went to a church and he was just doing a lot,
Yeah, what are you talking about though? Did you read the text? I'm like, can you get the text to me, sir? I don't know nothing about what you just said. What does the text say? Yeah, so I get people's stance on that. And again, I think, in any religion, you need to study what it is that you have affirmed that you believe in before you go out telling people, I'm a Muslim, I'm Christian, whatever. But some people will take parts of things. I know that Islam is very clear about what people should eat, how they should conduct themselves. We see a lot of people that are, they walk around with a beard and they, hey, sir, when the last time you read the Quran? When you went to pray?
Exactly.
What you eat this morning? Was it kosher? I mean, not kosher. Was it halal? Like that. But if you don't know, and I only know those things because I try to have an understanding of every religion enough so that when people come to me with stuff, I'm like, yeah, that's not that ain't what they said. So we should be students of the world in general. But if you say you believe in something, study it.
Yeah.
If other people don't believe it, that's their business. But I know what I believe in.
Right. Yeah.
And that's okay.
Okay. I really appreciate you for doing this.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to be here. And I just have to say this again, just seeing your journey as a young woman, I am so very proud of you. I cannot say it enough. You was in my first class a year? Was you in my first? Yes.
I think so.
So I am, y'all hold a special place in my heart. Sincerely, of all the young people that I work with. Y'all really made me see the world differently, but I am just so proud of you and your journey. I appreciate you inviting me.
Thank you.
I'm here, girl.
I might be booking with you, so
okay. Well, listen, I'll be available. Just let me know. But I'm so proud of you, and I hope that you're proud of yourself. I would say to you, and I say this to young people all the time. You don't have to spend your life finding something new to do. It's okay to have a moment of just contentment. And so if this is where you operate right now, this is enough for right now. You gotta be looking for the next big thing. Allow yourself to sit in the ease of what you have already accomplished, because it has been a lot. You become somebody's mama twice. You did the most adult thing ever. You got home, you got a job, you got podcast, and you know what I mean? Like, sit in that for a minute and allow yourself to take inventory of the great work you've already done before you start looking to do something else. Okay, because I love this hustle culture. I'm old. I'm like, baby, I don't.
Oh no, yeah, I kind of retired already from the hustle culture.
Y'all got it. I ain't doing nothing else. This is it for me. That's it. That's all I got. So allow yourself to gloat, to enjoy your space, and to be exactly who you are right now. It's okay.
Okay, I appreciate it.
I'm proud of you, Brie. Absolutely. And I'll be here if you need me. I'm around.
Thank you. Well, tell people where they can find you.
Absolutely. So I am not big on Instagram, but I'm working on it. I do Monday meditations on my IG, which is Lavender Grove Psychotherapy. You can also find information about other events. We're going to be hosting some free community stuff where we'll be doing some yoga and integrative work. So that will look like a little bit of therapy processing, sound bath, and yoga. So please follow me there, because that's where you can find all of the up-to-date information. My website is lavenderdrovepsychotherapy.com. And then, of course, if they need to email me, it's egates@lavendergrovepsychotherapy.com as well.
Sounds good.
Absolutely. Thank you,
No
Bree.
problem. Thank you. And this has been High Tea and Alchemy.
Yes. Thank you,
All
Brianna.
right. Talk to you later.
All right.
Bye.